All right, guys, Craig over here with the Battle Plan podcast, and I have who's going to become my co-host here on some of these episodes, Chelcea Davis, and she actually helps me with my clients on the one-on-one side, where we do training. We help people transform their bodies, their mind, their spirit, all the things. And she recently had a loss. As I told you guys, success comes with pain, and positions of uncertainty and doubt and different things. And Chelsea just experienced a really tough one. She lost her dad. How long ago? Almost like 10 days, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's
about it was
raw.
last Friday on the 14th.
Okay.
January.
So obviously she had to take some time to, cope and do different things, but she came back with, and I won't speak for her, but what I gathered out of the conversation, afterwards was she doesn't have that safety net, right? As your father, and I'm looking at my daughter sometimes and I see her and I'm like, I'm her safety net. I'm that thing that's gonna be strong for her, hold her and do whatever I can to move the world to make sure that I can, help this girl grow up. And essentially that's kind of like what you shared with me, is like you felt like you lost that shield, that comfort, that tower, that safety. And what did you learn through that? Like, what did you grow through that? Because I mean, that's a time of coping and a time of, pain that you had to go through. Everyone's saying they're sorry. Who the hell wants, don't do that, guys. Nobody wants to hear that. And there's another somebody in my life right now that just lost her brother. And so like, I really try hard not to be like the person who just brings up the wound. But, here I am talking with Chelsea 10 days, 10 days after her father died. Sorry, Chelsea. But, I just feel like through pain, we can grow. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about how you walk through that journey of those days, and just like what you're feeling and what you're feeling now.
That's I mean, I feel like I'm still walking through it. I feel like it was very hard for me to accept at first. Was in disbelief. I blacked out when I was told that he was gone. I I don't remember much of it because it was very it was traumatizing, and it still is, and it's hard to think about him not being here. And it was really hard to find anything positive about this, and sometimes it still is. Um, but if anything, like the growth I've experienced, or that I am experiencing now, and that is really humbling me, is the fact that he was like our glue. He was like our rock. Um, my dad grew up with not much, and he built like an empire kind of out of a company. And it's a smaller company, but it was still like, that was, my dad built it, and it created so much like union between people, and the workers were our family, and they still are. And our family just thrived off of what he built. And um, to not have him here for someone to go to for answers, or like when I get in trouble, say like financially, or if I get in trouble with an emotional situation, or a situation at work, and I have no answers, or I'm in trouble, having to do this or that to make things happen, and make ends meet. It was always, whether we were at each other's throats or not, me and my dad, we're very alike. He was just always there. He was always there to give me advice, or to help me when I needed it. And I don't have that anymore, but I know that I have what he's taught me, as who I am, uh, to go by it. He didn't raise me to be a weak girl. I'm an emotional girl. I cry a lot. I'm one of those. I cry at Disney movies sometimes too. But I'm tough as nails when it comes to certain situations, and I can take pride in that. He used to call me I don't know if many people know what a 16 penny head nail is or something. I think it's 16 head penny. I don't know. Whatever. It's like a tough nail, and you hammer it into, wood, and it's hammered in, and it's got some kind of a glue or something around it to make sure that it stays, but it has to be a really like tough steel or something. He tried to explain this to me once, and it didn't make sense then, but it makes more sense now because I sound like an idiot. But that's what he used to call me. And only it was kind of like a between me and him thing. And I look back at that now, and those are things that I took for granted. And I'm living a lot right now in regret for things that I wish I could have done or said or been better at. And that has helped me to see that there's no better time and there's no other time than right now to do the same for my family as he's done for me, as far as being strong and being the one that I want my family to come to, or anyone that is experiencing this pain. Like, I want to take that on, just like he did for us, you know, and that worry and that grief. I want to be strong enough to take on anything, but I also want to be strong enough to take on my life and realize that without my safety there, I've still got to be the safety for my girls, for my family. And so it's given me a sense of like newfound strength, I guess you could say, upon like a serious weakness, which is odd to say, but
And
uh,
you have this missing figure from your life that, was so strong. It's like, a general in a battle who gets killed. What do the soldiers think of? And I know this, I'm generalizing things, but like, it's like that leader, goes missing.
right,
Yeah, there's going to be a loss, there's going to be an emptiness, but there's a vacuum that you have to replace. And you found yourself in that role. You're saying it's no longer my dad's choice, is now my choice. And so you felt like it's now your responsibility for your family unit and the people surrounding you, that you are now the thing. And it's funny you didn't lean on, another man. You're like, no, I'm the badass. I'm now that human. I'm now that shield. I'm now that, castle that people need to come to for me, which is what I found out of it. Like when we spoke, and I was like, yeah, she's gonna come into herself now, because she doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't have anyone to rely on. And obviously, I'm here for your words, and we can have conversations, and she'll know I'll never sugarcoat a single thing. That's just not how I do
no,
things.
ever.
Um, so I'll certainly be a voice of reason, hopefully, in your life, Chelsea, if you allow it. But I just thought it would be, a pretty decent episode here to just hear someone go through this, and that, I'm sorry I'm throwing it at you and it's raw, but I think, through this you can come out of this stronger, because you now know people are counting on this. People have lost. Like we just went through a season of life, and we're still probably in it. Although loss is not as prevalent as it was before, but yet there's other things happening, right? COVID, a lot of people lost their lives through that because of a lot of health complications, mostly anyway, for underlying things that were going on. Very few, I don't know what you want to call few, but like, what we hear as far as the healthy people losing their lives, they usually get over it. But there are those situations where people experienced amazing loss without it coming, blindsided, right? Just like most things happen in life, a heart attack, a car accident, a shooting, etc. Those things blindside people. So, how do they overcome it? What are the steps of grief that you went through, or that you felt like you had to go through, or that you can, share as something to take away from this, besides, just owning the void and owning that emptiness with yourself and your strength? um what brought you through that? Like what did you do? What coping mechanisms? Was there drugs? Was there pills? Was there alcohol? I mean, you know me, I told you I'll be raw here. We're going to talk about it all, and if you're willing and able, send it. And if you want to be protective, that's fine. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like, people need to know. I've already shared, some of my dirt, from the past, and if you haven't heard that yet, just go back a little bit further in
Right.
some of these episodes. But go ahead, just tell me how you got through it. Was it a person, a book, a saying, a quote, a coping mechanism?
There was a couple of different things, I think, at least to bring me to functional. I I had to I had to look at the reality of things, and it just there's a part of me that feels almost a guilt for um going through like hard times, or asking people to understand, or using any kind of issue in my personal life as like an excuse. And that comes from a long list of things that have happened throughout my life that I felt as though were obstacles that have taken away from what I could provide, and like my time, oh my gosh, that's where it's big. But I felt almost like a guilt of not putting that on anybody else. And to be quite honest with you, my boyfriend, he lost his father about 3 years ago. um And I didn't know where to look as far as like how to do this. And if I had my choice, I would clam up and hate everybody and hate everything. And, that would be that. And it would just be the end of things. Um, but I don't have that option with my girls either. So what was explained to me from him that helped me the most was that it was okay to feel it. And I needed to feel it. And I needed to go through the pain and experience every bit of it. And so I did. I tried. And I didn't even, I couldn't not feel it if I was to find a coping mechanism, this or that. I mean, there was definitely a night of drinking for sure. I actually, it was a 2-day thing. It was like a let's start today and let's end tomorrow kind of thing. And
And how
it's
did you feel? Obviously, in the moment, I'm sure you were painless, right? But I mean, after the fact, the hangover, the after.
it was painful in many ways. This is honestly, I was just actually writing with somebody that reached out to us, one of our clients too, about how this is the first time I've experienced such an intense physical pain, like an actual physical pain from like being sad and like sad and angry, like it's tearing my stomach up bad. And I have a lump in my throat I can't get rid of. Um, and drinking didn't help. It didn't help at all. It didn't even mask the pain. It just made me more intense of an emotional person. So the hangover was kind of nice because it helped me to go to bed and sleep. And it gave me more pain to focus on rather than the situation, which, I mean, as soon as that even wears off, and I was grateful for it, I was in the realization that it's still here and this is not going away. And if I just numb it and I just look past it or hide it or anything, it's not going to solve anything, and it's going to eat me away from the inside out. And that's going to have everything to do with my relationships with my family, my relationships with my children, my relationship with God. I questioned my faith. I questioned why. I questioned if I was being punished. And that was hard for me because I've gotten a lot closer to God in my faith the past couple of years. And
I'm glad you're on this topic because it was my next question. So
yeah,
continue.
he's that was my strength, was my faith, because anytime that I would need, I would just hit my knees, man, in prayer. And it took me a while to realize that throughout my entire life, everything that I'd prayed for and everything that I'd asked for, I was given, but I had to see it in a different way. I had to look for it in a different solution than I was, expecting from like a fairy when you make a wish or something, And I was led to some great things. I was led here, to you, and you helped me through actually a lot of previous struggles. And that was, that I feel as though was like through God. He gave me that avenue, and he just, anytime that I was in need of anything, it was always provided after a good, prayer session, and humbling myself and realizing where I was at. And this point, when my dad was gone, I mean, not even being able to say goodbye, not like not having any control over bringing him back or saying I'm sorry enough to make it go away. Or I
Do you
didn't
think he doesn't
understand.
know? I mean, in your faith, and in what you feel, I'm not sure how your dad was, or I know that you found faith like me a little bit later. I think, from what I understand a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel that he's not aware, that he's not all knowing once you go back and you think about the spirit, right? The spirit left the body. The body's just that shell. It's just a robot. It's just a body that we're walking around with today, and it's our temple. We got to take care of. But that spirit that's in there, I literally just had this conversation with my daughter because we were trying to talk about some things, and I was like, do you know you have a spirit? Do you know you have this thing inside you? I was like, the thing you're walking around with, that's just your body. That's just this thing that's this. She can't explain it to a 6-year-old, but like,
Right.
do you feel he doesn't know? I mean, even though you didn't say it, do you feel like and this is a true question. I'm not preaching. This is a true question. Do you
Um,
feel like that afterlife, that spirit in existence is with us? Is it somewhere else? Is it in heaven, as they explain it as Christians? Um, do you think he's knowing? Do you think that there's a spot there that he's looking down when they always say, "Oh, they're looking down on you," right? You- How do you feel about that?
that's honestly where I'm continuing my struggle. Is I have like my picture of what heaven may be, but it's not comforting to me to know that my ideal is probably way off, and I don't have the vision that I need to be okay with, like, where knowing where my father went. I know that he used to say, and he would just get so geeky when he talks about God and Jesus and stuff, and he used to say, I can't wait to be with my best friend. And I know he's there now, but I don't have an image or a picture of that, of what it looks like. And that's where I feel like I'm struggling with, like, what I have left of him, or if, like, him being with God and what that looks like. And I have so many questions, and I know that it's not like necessarily my place to ask them right now out of anger.
What would you
Um,
ask?
just God, like, I need an answer here that I can't find anywhere.
There was there's a pep talk that I just heard. No, it wasn't. It was yes. I don't know if it's pep talk. It was just one of these motivational. These reels are pretty cool now with social media. I'll give them some props. There's a lot of cool things that are just going around that just words that get transpired, and then there's a video underlying that kind of gives it some emotion. And I don't know if it was. I don't know who was the speaker, and I'll find it. I'll post one of these soon. But they said, if you ask God for patience, do you think he makes you more patient, or does he put things in your life that provide you patience?
Exactly.
If you ask some for something else, do you think it's given to you, or do you get the ability to become what you're asking? So in this situation, I don't know what we're asking of God, but maybe finding faith in the emptiness, might provide you some comfort today. Because if he was a man of faith and he did the right things and he got the opportunity to go to this afterlife, if you will, and he was okay with that, and he was okay with leaving this space for another space and another place that he felt was a better place. Wouldn't that be comforting to you, knowing that he's in a place of what we believe to be joy and happiness and comfort, and that as they say, we're only on this earth a really small time in comparison to how long it exists and possibly the spirits that might be. So is it possible that that afterlife really is so much more beautiful and beneficial than today, and that we are just living in a place where our actions are being judged, and maybe what we're doing today provides us a seat in some hierarchy later? I have questions too. I'm newfound faith. I've read the Bible a few times and still going through it, and I struggle and I sin and I do all the things. But it's on my mind, and it's a struggle worth having, and it's a conversation worth having with folks. And we're not all going to be right, and we're not all right. We're probably way off, all of us. But there's something there. Is there any comfort in that for you?
Not yet. I don't think it's because I have too many questions of I'm gonna hear people talk about what heaven is like, and through I mean I was put in like youth groups and stuff growing up, and my idea of what that was expressed to me was that we are not of human body, or not of human need and want and necessity and desire. So that was something I have like a childlike aspect to, is thinking, okay, well, if I don't want the things that I want now on earth, like I want, I mean, there's besides, like, you know, situational stuff like strength and patience. Like, what if, like, as a child, looking at it as a child, like my daughter, what does she think heaven is? She thinks heaven is like ice cream and candy and, puppies and stuff like that. And I want to believe that too. But if we don't want that, we don't desire that. Um, who are we? Are we still ourselves? Like, what it looks like to me in my head is like an orb of light is like what I can imagine it would be. And then just joining a bunch of other orbs of light to, combine around one big orb of light that is, it's an energy kind of a thing, or it's an attraction to, our creator. And
We got to be so far off. I mean, Hollywood's painted this picture for us and it's put this cognitive bias in our heads. We've
right,
got to be so far off with that.
so
But
far.
um, let's take the opposite now. Okay, the atheist that doesn't believe that we're organic matter and we just be created through, science and through the mechanisms of recreating ourselves in a better image over and over and over and over, and the survival of the fittest kind of thing. So like, what does that person deal with? If you're listening, I'd love to see the comments somewhere, some way of if you're out there and you don't have any faith, if you don't have any belief, what happens in your life? Like, what is that? I just don't even know what's the point of thinking so negative. What's the point of not having hope? To be disappointed later on? Well, you're dead. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Is so if you leave this place and it's just that your heartbeat stops and you have nothing, what does that mean for you?
Right.
So like it's what's wrong with having a little bit of hope that if I do X, Y, and Z, which are most often really good principles, if you think of faith, and it doesn't have to be the Christian faith, although that's the one that I follow and I believe you all should. I'm not gonna be out there to say that having faith and having some version of karma or some rules of law or something that you're finding yourself with a right and wrong, because today's society doesn't have right and wrong. It's wacky. We're gonna get into that in some episodes here, but what's wrong with having that and that hope that there is something better after? Doesn't that give you some comfort? When you're comforting your kids when they fall in different things, you're painting a picture of a better day. Pain hurts now, it's going to be better later. Don't we have that? Isn't that what we should look forward to? And what's the harm in doing so? And I know that doesn't help you today, but like, you know at the end, does it even matter? And these are questions that we can keep going with. And I'm going to get some pastors in here. I'm going to get my pastor hopefully to get in here. He's inspired me, just so everyone's listening, why I'm recreated battle plan. Multiple reasons. And Chelsea actually just found this one out recently. But like, your battle plan is the armor of God, guys. Your battle plan is the armor that you put on to protect yourself of the things that you need out there, your fitness, your health, your mindset. There's a lot of reasons battle plan exists, but I found the name through the church. My pastor was running a series and still is about the battle plan. And I come to find out it's actually a common thing in the Christian, ways of thinking. And it's a very common thing actually in the, spiritual world of what they're doing, your spiritual battle plan. And this is every right inside that function and form for me, but it goes beyond because, I know it can go beyond people who have questions or don't have faith today or believe in something completely different. And that's fine. We could find favor in the differences that we have. But, there's got to be something that you're looking forward to, something protecting you or something that you're striving for, because what is it going to mean at the end of the day? I could tell you I've had money and I've had a lot less. And none of that stuff matters. I'm going to tell you, I'll talk about my journey. Chelsea's going to be interviewing me here soon on one of these episodes. But I'm going to tell you everything about my journey and where I was really happy and where I wasn't. And sorry to hijack what we're talking about today, Chelsea. But why don't you close with
Oh,
some words of and thoughts of kind of just the pain going through it and what you might want to focus on if you are finding yourself in loss right now. And I know it's still raw, and I know you're not done. But any thoughts that helped you get through?
um, besides, the questions that I still have that I'm unsettled with. I mean, I've got a newfound like hunger for knowing and knowledge for knowing, and I know that that's going to bring me closer to God as I look into it, because it's, I mean, where am I going to find that? The Bible, obviously. I just, because it's between me and my higher power, right? And it's like you said, it's you have your God and I have my God, and it's, the Christianity is our faith that we both follow. But at the same time, I also have, my God is my God, and I can talk to him wherever I want to talk to him. I don't got to go to church to do this and all that, um, and I'm comfortable with that mostly. So I know that the path or the journey ahead is going to lead me to being stronger. And I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm questioning this, because I know that it's going to give me more knowledge for later. But what's going to help me the most get through this is understanding and feeling it, instead of, hiding it away and trying to be strong. Because I mean, my dad was the strongest man I know. And he cried just like I did. And I think I was the one that would make him cry, the most, because it's just, I was his youngest and everything. And I was a shithead sometimes, but I loved my dad and he was my hero.
How about the guilt that you were walking around with, as you mentioned that you didn't say sorry or you didn't get the chance to talk about goodbye? Can you give yourself grace to
Okay.
know that
uh, that's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I'm going to need to find forgiveness for myself somehow. That is another one that I'm having trouble doing. We had a bit of a falling out with the last couple of years, and before we were like this. Just we were really close. He was my best friend. Text every day, and I mean, I missed that, and I lost a lot of that going through some other struggles. And recently, this last year, we had mended a lot of that, but I didn't get to say what I wanted to say, and I didn't get to tell him how sorry I was or what I appreciated of him. And that sucks, dear. It really sucks to live with, because he did so much for me in the long run. And, looking at it now, like everything that I am is because of that man. And I just wish I could thank him, or I could just.
can I offer you a solution that can possibly help?
Please.
Why don't you write a letter like you did to Santa Claus when you were a kid? Why don't you write a letter to him? And you don't have to mail it, but write a letter. That way your thoughts get out and you can process it and you can say the words that you wanted to say. And then maybe read it out loud and say it out loud, or prayer. But that might be a way to help process those emotions, because holding on to it's not going to help you. Journaling, you're an amazing writer. And when you wrote me what you wrote me for talking about, just joining Battle Plan and what we're going to be doing, I know that you have some special words that you can say and that you can get off your chest. But I could tell you right now, holding on to any grief or anything inside of you is going to eat you up. And so I would say get it out. And however you believe it, whether he sees it or reads it or hears it, because it's out in space, you said it and it's off your chest, and you were able to process it. I would think that might work for me. That might work for you.
A really great idea. It's a really great idea. Whew, thank you for that.
All right. I'm gonna end it. All right, guys, as we wrap up, I just want to share, go to craigcapurso.com. Pretty much my link tree. You can find all the things, my social media, any of the websites, any of the stuff we talked about with coaching. But really just putting it out there right now. We wish Chelcea well, and that her time of sadness and of pain is short-lived, and that she could enjoy the fulfillment of her father's joys, the time that she had to remember him and the times that they spent together. In loss, it's so hard to just quantify all the things that are going on, with all the unknowns and the uncertainty of what the future holds for you and of the person lost. And this is a place where I reflect on faith, from what I've gathered over the years, and what I've recently come to find is a place of fulfillment, and a place of future and hope and forgiveness, and a place that there's grace, and there's a lot of other benefits that we'll get to on this channel. But essentially, we just want to wish Chelcea well on this one, and anyone else who has lost somebody this year or recently, and the wounds are open and still raw. You gotta find a way to, if it's a place of forgiveness, forgive yourself. If it's a place of grace, provide it. If it's a place of pain, there has to be some gain, of that loss. And you may never know why. It's just maybe you do. Maybe there is a why that comes out someday. But at the end of this thing, life, whether you're living it, or leaving us, at this point in time, we can only do with what we have. in front of us. And at this point in time, I want to help everyone grow and optimize all the things that they can, from their mindset to their bodies and everything else in between. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, want to talk about it this time around, have something to say about this episode, it's always great to help us grow by liking, commenting, and sharing. So you guys could do those things, and feel free to come at Capurso.com to find me in these episodes. And you could always email us info@getmybattleplan.com. Catch you guys later.